Northwest Food Solutions would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation regarding the FDA's final intentional adulteration rule. We hope that this presentation provides you with some basic knowledge and understanding regarding the intentional adulteration rule. Hi, I'm Terry Danielson of Northwest Food Solutions. We're a Portland, Oregon-based company, and we help food and beverage manufacturing companies maximize their organizational health. We work in the areas of supply chain manufacturing, food safety, people operations, and marketing. So what is intentional adulteration? Intentional adulteration is the conscious act of an individual or individuals manipulating the food supply to cause harm. Since the terrorist attacks of 9/11, the US government has been very concerned about the vulnerability of food supplied domestically and internationally. And though unlikely, a bioterrorism attack on the food supply could lead to widespread illnesses and deaths. So to address this, a federal law was created under 21 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 121, Mitigation Strategies to Protect Food Against Intentional Adulteration, or otherwise known as the IA Rule. The rule implements requirements using a HACCP-based approach to prevent or minimize food supply chain adulteration. And the IA rule was made final for covered food manufacturing facilities as of July 26, 2016. So who's covered by the rule? Well, the FDA states that this rule applies to both domestic and foreign companies that are required to register with the FDA as food facilities under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. The rule is primarily geared towards large food manufacturing facilities and does not include farms or retail establishments. There are several exemptions from the rule, including some very small businesses, the holding of food, the manufacturing, processing, packing, or holding of food for animals, and for alcoholic beverages under some circumstances. Always know your company's coverage under the food safety regulations and contact the FDA's Technical Assistance Network, or TAN, if you have questions over IA rule coverage. What does compliance look like? Well, the rule is meant to help food manufacturers protect their most vulnerable points in food manufacturing. And this is done through creating and implementing a food defense plan. Just like building your HACCP and food safety plan, if it isn't written, it didn't happen. And there are 5 areas of the written plan to complete. First, you must complete a vulnerability assessment, otherwise known as a VA, and then determine mitigation strategies based on the VA. And lastly, create procedures for food defense monitoring, corrective actions, and defense verification. Record keeping is required for all of these steps. Also, certain individuals involved in your company's food defense plan and implementation will require training and must be qualified. You can always refer to the Code of Federal Regulations or the CFR for exact food defense compliance requirements. Once your food defense plan is in place, it must be reanalyzed at least every 3 years. What training is needed? Individuals that perform activities under the IA rule and or that work at actionable processing steps must have the appropriate education, training, experience, or combination thereof necessary to properly implement the mitigation strategies at those actionable processing steps. In addition, those individuals must take a food defense awareness course, and the FDA has teamed up with the FSPCA to provide a free food defense awareness training course. The course is 30 minutes long and will generate a certificate of completion. There are other courses on food defense awareness put on by other entities. You should just make sure they are equivalent to the FSPCA course and make sure all your training records are documented. So what's the definition of a very small and small business? Well, under the definitions of the IA rule, There can be confusion around what is considered very small or small business. A very small business is one that makes less than $10 million per year. These businesses, though exempt, must be able to provide the FDA documentation proving that they're a very small business under FDA definitions. Food manufacturers that make over $10 million per year and with less than 500 employees are defined as small business and must comply with the IA rule. Large manufacturers are businesses that are not considered small or very small businesses. When do I have to comply? Well, currently, large manufacturers are past the compliance date, which was July 26th of 2019. Small businesses must be in compliance by July 26th of 2020. And very small businesses have until July 26th of 2021 to be prepared to provide the FDA with documentation proving they're a very small business and are therefore exempt from the IA rule. A food defense plan that is in compliance with the IA rule will take several months to develop and implement, so don't wait until the last minute to begin developing your food defense plan or to gather documentation proving you're a very small business. Where can I find resources for the IA rule? There are several resources available on FDA's website regarding the IA rule, and you'll be able to find links to these in the CFR or on the FDA site. You'll also be able to find details on each section of the rule, what the exemptions are, definitions, food defense plan templates, and much more. As mentioned, the FDA has teamed up with FSPCA to provide free trainings on food defense awareness and the IA rule. And Northwest Food Solutions is also offering help with the IA rule. We can provide consulting on any area of the rule, including conducting vulnerability assessments and helping to identify mitigation strategies. We hope this presentation has been helpful in understanding a little more about the FDA IA rule. For further information on the IA rule or other food safety questions, contact us at info@nwfoodsolutions.com and check out some of our other videos on the Northwest Food Solutions YouTube channel.